But they're liars. The sea doesn't give. It only lends. And the interest is always paid in blood. Cut to a shot of a massive wave crashing over the deck of a small ship. A man, you.Storytelling, is lashed to the mast. He looks directly into the camera, water streaming down his face. His eyes are ancient. You.Storytelling, shouting over the wind. I've stolen crowns from sleeping sultans. I've walked through walls of solid stone. I am Storytelling. The trickster. The ghost. But out here, I'm just meat. Just like you. The ship lurches violently. The mast begins to splinter. You.Storytelling. You want to know about the treasure? The treasure of the sea? You think it's gold? Diamonds? You think it's gonna make you rich? He laughs, a dry, cracking sound. You.Storytelling. Let me tell you a story. Sit down. Shut up. And listen. Because if you don't learn from my mistakes, the ocean is going to swallow you whole, too. Title card slams onto screen, You.Storytelling and the treasure of the sea. Upbeat, adventurous music fades in. The narrator's voice becomes warmer, inviting. Narrator. Welcome back, wanderers. If you love stories that take you to the edge of the world and stare into the abyss, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Because today, we're diving deep. Let's go. The city of Sinpur didn't smell like the sea. It smelled like frying onions, unwashed bodies, and regret. Storytelling sat in the corner of a tavern called the Drowning Rat, nursing a cup of tea that was 90% sugar. He was 50 years old, though his face looked 70. His hands, however, were young. Quick. Scarred from 1,000 cuts, but steady as a surgeon's. He wasn't a spy anymore. Spies die young. Storytelling had retired. He was just an old man with a bad leg and a conscience that wouldn't shut up. The door creaked open. The tavern went quiet. She didn't walk in, she flowed in. She wore trousers like a man, a loose linen shirt, and a vest covered in pockets. Her skin was the color of burnt copper, and her eyes were the color of the sea just before it kills you. Gray, stormy, intelligent. She walked straight to his table. You're Storytelling, she said. Not a question. I'm nobody, Storytelling grunted, not looking up. Go away. They say Storytelling can steal the thoughts from a man's head before he thinks them, she said, pulling out a chair. They say he once tricked a demon king into giving him his own sword. Tall tales, Storytelling muttered. Bards need to eat. I'm not a bard. I'm Zara. And I need a thief. Storytelling finally looked at her. I'm retired. Zara reached into her vest and pulled out a rolled-up parchment. It was yellowed with age, tied with a ribbon made of human hair. She placed it on the table. This is a map, she said. To the Isla de las Lágrimas. The Island of Tears. Storytelling froze. The air in the room seemed to get thinner. Every child in Sinpur knew the legend. The Island of Tears was a myth. A place where the sea wept pearls the size of fists. Myth, Storytelling said, his voice tight. Is it? Zara leaned in. Her voice dropped to a whisper. My father went looking for it 20 years ago. He never came back. But last week, a fisherman found this washed up on the shore. She tapped the map. In a bottle. Sealed with my father's signet ring. Storytelling stared at the ribbon. He knew that knot. It was a sailor's knot, but twisted in a specific way. A way only one person tied it. His breath hitched. Elias. Elias was your father? Storytelling asked, his voice barely audible. Zara nodded. You knew him? Storytelling closed his eyes. The memories hit him like a physical blow. Elias. His partner. His brother. The only man who had ever trusted Umro. The man Umro had left behind on a job gone wrong 30 years ago. The guilt was a stone in his gut, heavy and cold. He's dead, girl, Umro said harshly. The sea ate him. Then I want his body, Zara said, her chin trembling but her eyes dry. And I want to know why he died. The map says the treasure isn't pearls, Umro. It's the heart of the ocean. It says it can grant a wish. I'm going to wish for him back. Umro laughed, but it was a bitter sound. There's no such thing as wishes. There's only wind and water. Then help me prove it, she challenged. Help me find the truth. And if there's gold, it's all yours. Enough to buy a kingdom. Enough to drink the best tea for the rest of your miserable life. Umro looked at his hands. He looked at the map. Elias's not. He had spent 30 years running from that ghost. Maybe if he faced the sea, he could finally lay it to rest. 50%, Umro said. 70, Zara countered. 60. And I'm the captain. Deal. Narrator. And just like that, the hook was set. But neither of them knew they weren't just fishing for treasure. They were fishing for their own souls. If you're feeling that pull of destiny right now, that need to fix a past mistake, smash that like button. Let's keep going. The ship was called the Gilded Gull. It was a lie. It was a rusted tub held together by tar and prayers. Umro hated it. Zara loved it. She's got character, Zara said, patting the railing. She's got termites, Umro grumbled, checking the rigging. They hired a crew of 6. Misfits. Drunks. Men with nothing left to lose. Just how Umro liked them. There was Big Baz, a giant of a man who could crush a coconut with his thigh, Silent Tom, who hadn't spoken a word since his tongue was cut out by pirates, and Cookie, a man who could make anything taste like chicken. For 3 weeks, they sailed east. The sun was a hammer, the sky a brass plate. Umro fell into a routine. He taught Zara how to read the clouds. Zara taught him how to navigate by the stars. One night, under a sky full of diamonds, they sat on the deck. Why did you retire? Zara asked, polishing her brass telescope. Got tired, Umro said. You do what I do long enough, you forget who you are. You become a shadow. Shadows don't sleep. They don't eat. They just watch. I wanted to feel the sun on my face again. And it burns, he admitted with a wry smile. I'm a creature of the dark, Zara. Moles don't belong on the beach. My father said you were the bravest man he ever knew, Zara said softly. Umro flinched. Your father was a liar. I'm a coward. I ran away and left him to die. He never said that, Zara insisted. He said you made a choice. A hard one. He said he forgave you. Umro looked at the horizon. The guilt was a living thing inside him. Hearing Elias had forgiven him didn't make it better. It made it worse. It meant he had to forgive himself. And that was the one lock he couldn't pick. Suddenly, the wind changed. It wasn't a gradual shift. It was like a god had slammed a window shut. The temperature dropped 20 degrees in a second. The stars vanished. Storm. Baz roared from the crow's nest. Big one. The sea turned from black to white. The waves weren't waves anymore, they were mountains. The Gilded Gull screamed. Trim the sails. Umro yelled, his retirement vanishing. The ire took over. He was everywhere at once. He cut a man free from a tangled rope. He kicked a barrel loose before it crushed a helmsman. He moved with a fluid grace that belied his age. Zara was at the wheel. She was terrified, but she held on. "Umro," she screamed. The mast. The main mast was cracking. A split ran up its length like a zipper. Umro grabbed a coil of rope and a knife. He climbed. He climbed into the sky. The ship was tossed 90 degrees to the left. Umro hung by one hand, the ocean trying to suck him down. He jammed the rope into the split, lashing it with frantic speed. His fingers bled. The wood groaned. Crack. The top half of the mast snapped off. It swung down, a giant pendulum of death. "Zara! Hard to starboard!" Umro roared. Zara threw her weight against the wheel. The ship groaned, turning sideways. The mast swung over the deck, missing her by an inch, and crashed into the sea. The storm raged for 3 days. When the sun finally broke through, the gilded gull was a wreck. The mast was gone. The rudder was damaged. Half the crew was injured. They were dead in the water. Umro sat on a crate, his arm in a sling. Zara brought him water. "We have to turn back," she said, her voice hollow. "No," Umro said. "Umro, look at us. We're sinking." "Look at the water," Umro said, pointing. Zara looked. The current. It was pulling them. Fast. "The storm didn't push us off course," Umro said, a grim smile on his face. "It pushed us on course. We're in the trade winds. We're sliding right to it." "To the island?" "To the island." Narrator. Sometimes, the thing that breaks you is the thing that saves you. The universe has a funny way of working. Don't give up when the storm hits, friends. Just hold the wheel. 2 weeks later, they saw it. The Isla de las Lágrimas. It wasn't an island. It was a jagged tooth of black rock rising out of a fog that glowed faintly green. Birds circled it, but they didn't make a sound. "Rowboats," Umro ordered. "We go ashore." "What about the crew?" Baz asked. "They stay. If we're not back in 2 days, leave us." "I'm coming," Zara said. "Like hell you are. It's my father's map. It's my father's ghost. I'm coming." Umro looked at her. He saw Elias in her jawline. He nodded. They rode through the fog. The silence was heavy. Thick. It pressed on their eardrums. As they got closer, they saw the beach wasn't sand. It was bones. Thousands of them. Fish bones, whale bones, human bones. "Welcome home," Umro whispered. They beached the boat. The cave entrance was a gaping maw, dripping with slime. Zara lit a torch. The flame burned blue. "Damp fire," Umro noted. "Bad air. Keep the flame low." They walked into the mountain. The walls were covered in carvings. Not pictures of gods or kings. Pictures of people. People crying. People reaching for something just out of grasp. "The tears," Zara breathed. "This is the place." They walked for an hour. Deeper and deeper. The air grew warm. Humid. They could hear a sound. A low, thrumming hum. Like a giant heartbeat. They entered a cavern so vast the torchlight couldn't find the ceiling. In the center was a pool of water. Perfectly still. Perfectly black. And in the middle of the pool, on a pedestal of coral, was a box. A simple wooden box. "That's it?" Zara whispered. "That's the treasure?" "Treasure is rarely what it looks like," Umro said. He scanned the room. "Traps. There are always traps." He saw them. Thin wires, almost invisible, running from the pedestal to the walls. Pressure plates under the water. Stay here, Umro said. No. Zara, I'm the Ayar. This is what I do. If I die, take the boat and go. Forget the gold. He stepped onto the water. Not on the surface. He had a secret. Umro didn't just walk on walls. He could distribute his weight. He took a breath, centered his chi, and stepped on a lily pad that wasn't there. He didn't break the surface tension. He walked on the water. Zara watched, mouth open. He moved like a dancer. Step. Pause. Step. Pause. He reached the pedestal. He examined the box. No lock. Just a seam. He looked back at Zara. He shrugged. He opened it. There was no gold. No jewels. There was a mirror. A small, handheld mirror with a silver frame. Umro frowned. He picked it up. The moment his fingers touched it, the water exploded. A shape rose from the deep. It was massive. Scales like obsidian. Eyes like burning coals. A sea serpent. But not just a beast. This one wore a crown of rusted iron. Thief, a voice boomed. It wasn't a sound. It was a thought, forced into their heads. Zara screamed. Umro didn't move. He looked at the serpent. Then he looked at the mirror. You're not the guardian, Umro said calmly. You're the prisoner. The serpent lunged. Umro didn't fight. He couldn't. He did the only thing an Ayar does best. He tricked. He held up the mirror. The serpent saw its reflection. But it didn't see a monster. The magic of the mirror showed it what it truly was. A man. A prince, cursed centuries ago. The serpent recoiled, howling in psychic pain. The treasure isn't in the box. Umro yelled to Zara. The box is the treasure. It's a soul trap. He looked into the mirror himself. And he saw her. Not Zara. A woman with hair like sea foam and eyes like the sky. Marina. The love of his life. The one he lost. She was standing right behind him, smiling. Umro, she whispered. Asterisk, you came. I knew you would. Asterisk. Tears streamed down Umro's face. Marina. Take my hand, she said. Asterisk, we can leave. We can be together. Forever. Asterisk. She reached out. Her hand was warm. Real. This was the test. The treasure of the sea wasn't gold. It was your heart's desire. Greed wasn't wanting money. Greed was wanting what you lost. Umro looked at the hand. Then he looked at Zara, who was cowering by the wall, terrified. He looked at the serpent, weeping in agony. He knew the mirror was a lie. A beautiful, perfect lie. If he took her hand, he would die happy, his soul trapped in the glass. I love you, Umro whispered to the reflection. Then come, Marina smiled. But she's gone, Umro said,